Okay, let's see. So first, our feature is modeled against Calendly. Okay, so in Calendly, basically, if you open the page, you have like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and you can share with other people. If you share, let's say you give a link. Oh, actually, before you share, you can actually preview it, like which slot to use. Okay, so I'm gonna start from the very beginning to talk about the background. Okay, so if you already know it, it's also fine. Okay, maybe some of you already know it. Okay, um, and if you share with someone, then someone will get some page like this, and they can book with you. Let's say select this and confirm. Then you get an email, and actually the who book you will also get an email for confirmation, right? Then there's a similar website called You Can Book Me. Oh, actually, you can book dot me. Actually, this is also a website. This function is used by recruiter a lot. Recruiter actually like to use this a lot. Basically, it just give you a link so you can book a time with the recruiter for interview talk or something. So, yeah, I mean, actually, if in the future the company can use it for booking interview, right? So you don't have to give time. I mean, you can automatically just select one, right? That's very useful. So right now, if you talk to a recruiter every time you need to give your time availability and the other people. So basically, if we go back to our system, right? If we are looking at like some time, let's say a particular time, let's say. So I have some task in some time, right? In some time, and let's say there's another person want to ask me, hey, when are you available for like maybe like a 30-minute talk, 15-minute talk? I have to go to my calendar. I basically have to go to my calendar to look at what I'm when I'm available or not, right? So that's very tedious, right? So I wish I can just go to this page and generate a link. It's kind of like this: generate a link and send it to this guy, give a start time and end time, right? And then this guy can just book it, right? That's the end goal. Then when this guy book it, it generates a task in my calendar. In my calendar again, generate task. Let's say this guy booked, let's say on May 28th, maybe May 29, maybe. Then it generates another task here, and that task will automatically become that slot will automatically become unavailable. So basically, all the tasks in my calendar will be automatically become like unavailable, right? Because our system will be very smart about it. Okay, does that sound good? Okay. Any question regarding the background? No question?
No.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna start Spring Boot because our backend already written some code. Okay, so let's go through this. So I'm gonna start Spring Boot so I can show you Swaggle. Okay. We already have some API like we already have some API called like get booking link. So it seems like booking, but it's actually our model is more like links. So I'll explain why. Okay. So our model actually right now is based on booking link here, booking links. So that means our resource right now is the booking links. Why we call it links? The reasoning is kind of like this. So we are a little bit different. Our model is a little bit different than I think Calendly does. So for us, everything is a link. I mean, everything is a unique link. So what I mean is every time you want to generate create a link, you customize it, you share with someone. So basically, the user will have to call this API. So every time, let's say you click this, like share. So right now, this is like a hard coded, right? This is right now is like a universal link. But we will do something like this, like UUID. Actually, we can already do this right now. So when you create this, we'll return the model. I'll go through the parameter later. Okay. So, but the most important, in the model you have ID. the ID is actually eight letter character. So it's like a UUID. So people can use this link kind of like this, right? So we expect here. So here we want a two tab. First thing we want a two tab. The first tab is basically like this, kind of like this. We can have like a 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and the then user can click to generate, like kind of like a create, right? And another tab is used to, by tab I mean like this tab, okay, tab, okay. So this is more like a tab, okay. So we want two tab. The first tab you already see it, right? What's the second tab? Second tab is more like used like for management. What I mean here, right now when we share something, let's say I generate a link. Let's say I generate a link, okay, here. So this, you see, this link is very similar to the link model we are using, right? So it's kind of like you are generating a link. So this link is used for if you share it publicly, you generate a, look at the URL public, okay? So we already have this. So if you want to share something public, you can generate it, okay? And then you can manage it. The second tab is more like here. So basically we get all your booking links. So you can like delete it, right? If you don't no longer want to have anyone to use it, right? Got it? Okay. So that's the two tabs I'm talking about. Do you have a general idea why we use the link as the resource as a model? So this is how we quantify or rationalize our model, right? Basically, we're gonna use link. Okay. So for us, everything is a link. So that's actually a little bit different than. So in our database, for every link has some parameter. First parameter, I think the most important is the slot span. I'm gonna just use the Java code. Okay. It's easier actually. Okay. Any question by far? No question? Okay.
No.
So the ID is basically the 8-letter UUID, right? The character letters. Int span span is 15 minutes, 15, 30, 60. Actually, our plan is basically it can be a multiple of 15. That means you can book like 2 hours if you want. We want to support this kind of scenario. So yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, when user create it, it can change the span if he want, okay? So basically, I'm envisioning more like this kind of dialogue. So user, or like you create a task, right? I mean, basically, user will create a task, like a link. I mean, in our case, it's a link, right? And then you fill in also the parameter. And one thing is more like a drop down, like 15, 60, some automation, right? Like here, right? Like this, but you can say 200 or something. But we need to restrict the user to enter only a multiple of 15. So we leave this to UI to figure it out how to do that, okay? Anyway, you need to make sure it's a multiple of 15, okay? It's not any random integer. Okay, so that's some requirement, okay? That's, I mean, if you check other model, like in a restaurant, you book something, in a meeting room, you book something, it's always a multiple of 15, okay? So that should be acceptable, right? Okay. And let's see, other parameter, right? Start date, end date is YYYMMDD, okay? Time zone. Boolean is, okay, this is one is a little bit tricky. Because we have some task that doesn't have a duration. That's nullable. When you create a task, right? You can specify the duration, or you don't have to specify it, right? So those without the duration, you want to include it or not as task, because sometimes people some task doesn't have a duration. You don't. What does task means to us is if you have a task at some time at some time span, let's say from 8 to 9, the slots in the between 8 and 9 is automatically marked as off, right? So basically, right now it's a matter of you want this to automatic. So I mean, if your task have a duration, we always mark it as off. Okay. Let's say you have a meeting between have duration is 1 hour, but there's some task that you don't have a duration. Do you want it or not? Right. So basically, it's a choice. If you want it, we only mark on the clock. What I mean is mark using the beginning. So let's say if you have a task at 8 o'clock, but you don't have a duration, we only take a mark of one slot. So at the beginning with 8 o'clock. Got it? So is that clear? I assume yes, okay. And this Boolean is expire on booking is basically you once the user click the link expire, right? And yes or not? Do you want to keep using it, right? Like anyone can use it continuously, right? Or you want it on the first booking just expire it, right? This is the slot you use to. This slot is basically the model you use to render those, right? But some is off. Some is off. You don't even show it. If it's for outside, some slot is basically this slot. Let's say this slot is gone. You don't see it, right? Because it's already booked. But if for the owner, let's say you're doing the preview. When you do the preview, not this one. So we have two view actually here, right? Share, right? Preview. So this is for the owner to see it, right? And this is for outside who use it, right? So you should fit differently. For owner, you might have power to take out this or enable some slot if it's off, right? Manually override it. Okay, so we can do that. Okay, we'll talk about it later. Where's the API? Actually, let me show you the API. So we have an API to update slot. So it's one call at a time. So this is the model for booking slot. So let's check the model for booking slot. So it's a Boolean to say it's on or off. This is the index and the date. Index is basically every slot is indexed from 0. Let's say if you have if your span is 1 hour, so in a single day you have basically 24 slots, right? So the last hour is basically 23, right? So that's what it means, okay? I think the start time and the end time is basically HH column MM, right? Hour and minute, okay? So that's the slot. So basically the user, we want the user to be able to like select a slot from owner's view. Say I want to turn it on, turn it off, right? So that's manually override it. Okay. What else? Let's go back to the model. Do we have anything else? So actually, when you book it, right, you want to enter your name, first name, last name, email. Email is required, okay? And the phone number. Phone number is optional, okay? So basically, when you book it, let me go back. Why we have two parameter here? This one is more like the primary guy. So this primary guy must have first name and then last name. Otherwise, we don't know how to call you, okay? So you must enter first name and then last name. But you are welcome to add guest into the same meeting, right? So in the backend, if you add a guest, I mean, you must have email. So we'll send an email to those guests with the same content, right? And then we'll use the primary guy's first name and the last name in the title, like who did book the meeting, right? Because we need that name, right? Right. And so for the guest, you only need the email. All the other three fields are optional. Does that make sense? So we needed the start date, end date, and time zone to calculate the things. Okay. So okay, this field is a little bit tricky. So what is buffer in minute? So buffer in minute here means if you have a meeting between 8 to 9, I don't want to, let's say if I have a buffer limit is by default is 0. So that means you can book a meeting from 7 to 8, right? But if the buffer in minute is 30 minutes, so that means I want to have some buffer before the meeting, right? So when I don't want you to book anytime between 7:30 to 8. Does that make sense? So I have want some like a slot, okay? Some like rest between the meetings. I don't want to immediately go to next meeting, right? So I don't want to book you immediate next to the first meeting. Got it? Okay. So that's the thing we want. Okay. So because we already have our bullet journal already have a system to manage your calendar, your current calendar. So this is nicely integrated with our existing system. For those two websites, they don't have our stuff, right? So they don't have the integration actually, right? They don't have your personal calendar. So we are basically combining this feature with our time schedule management, which is very useful, I think. Okay. Let's go through the API we have right now. So you have the API to post to create a booking link, right? Let's ignore the recurrence rule. I'll explain it in the future. Okay. In short, basically, you want to create. Let's say you want to create a recurrence rule, basically for the link. Say don't book me during night between after 6 p.m. right? So you can create a daily recurring rule to do that, right? Because I mean, why do you want to have a meeting after 6, right? And also you can do that before 8 a.m., right? So basically that's what this is used for. And I think we should have some default recurrence rule, like before 8 a.m., after 6 p.m. I mean, by default it should not, but the user can change that, right? So so this calendar right now is right now default from 9 to 5. We can use that as default recurrent. But what if the user want to allow the link to have 8 o'clock meeting, right? So that's also possible, right? So that's the thing, okay? So that's something we want to build something more complicated than. So basically, I mean, it's a good website. It's obvious this is very successful website, right? But there's still space we can improve it. I think what we are doing right now is actually better than what this existed. Okay, do you agree? Like those features? Okay.
Okay.
That's all the parameter we have. Okay. Any question before we talk about the UI specific stuff? So for by far, I talked about high level. In a high level, the whole project, what the whole project is doing. Just want to make sure you guys are up to date. Okay, what are we trying to build? So next, we are trying to build this. Okay, cool. Okay. Any question before I go to the next phase to talk about the UI specific?
Nope.
Okay. So next, right? I think we have two person on the front end. One is Fang, one is Joyce, right? So I'm gonna use your name so I can assign task to what to do. Okay. So I mentioned that we have 2 tab, right? So Fang, you are very fast implementing. So I want you to add these 2 tab first. 2 tab. Okay. You should be quick. Okay. Break it down to small changes. Okay. Just a small change to add the 2 tab, right? Another tab is for what? Another tab is for the link. We didn't talk about it, right? So we will mostly focus on the first tab, right? When we are ready, we'll work on the second tab, okay? So let's focus on the first tab, but we do need the 2 tab, right? We do need like a 2 tab like this, okay? Okay. And in the first tab, we want to have something like this, and we want to have some description in the beginning, in the very top. Not very long, but we need the user to know what this button is for, right? Because you said here it says book me, nobody know what it means, right? So we want to have some description. We can reference something, possibly here. We need some description to to fill it. I think Joyce, I give you this before, right? I think you already took some look. Can you work on get that description, like 1 or 2 sentences?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, at most 3 sentences. I think that's most. If needed, we can add a small picture for demonstration if needed. But I don't think we have a good picture. Maybe this picture. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we can take some picture. I mean, it's easier to make this using PowerPoint or something. But anyway, if you have a text, we can just use that. I mean, just so you will give us that description. Okay, let's talk about what to do next. So fun. You want to create a 3 card here. 3 card here. Even though we are using Ant, so we are using Ant. Ant already have a card, but I actually don't think it's pretty. So first we need 3 card, okay? This is the Ant's card. We already use it somewhere. So let's say in the group. We actually not using it in group. Actually, I used it in here for bank. But someone says this is not very pretty. Maybe the picture is not looking great. Anyway, this is using Ant's card, okay, for the bank. But I think actually groups looks better. And funny enough, the group is not using card. It's just using a div plus some CSS. Which one do you think is prettier?
Group card.
Yeah, actually this one is not using Ant's component. It's just a div with some CSS. Actually, you can check it the inner code. Actually, so funny enough, actually a div is enough. This has CSS like hover. When you hover, it do some transform to make this larger. So that's the CSS making this bigger. Okay, so it's just pure CSS with some radius and with some shadow, make it look like this. Shadow is the you see the shadow, right? And with some radius. That's it. Same. So I think we can just use div. I mean, this is for fun, okay? So when you add this 3 card, I think just make it. Yeah, I mean, you can use some text, but not exactly the same. I think we need to think about this. Another thing, we do need the dialogue. So when you click this and click the dialogue to create a new meeting, new link. Don't call it link. I think just call it meeting like this. So this one doesn't have to create a new meeting. Okay. I should not call it a meeting. We should call it create or just create, or just like this create. Okay. Have a button. Okay, bigger. Okay. So what I mean, you can have a button, and you can have 3 card. Okay. And when you click the button, that's the dialogue. Okay, that go back to our dialogue, like this. So that's all the parameter we want to work on. Okay. I think the dialogue is too small. What I mean, the dialogue right now have limited width. Maybe we can use jar like what you just did. So if we have something give me a sec. Let's see if we have something like this. This is a jar, right? Or history, so this is a jar. I think a jar looks better on the left side because it makes things bigger. So I will go with jar. Okay. Hey, Fan, the button, why is the button still here? Did you miss some place, right?
I will check it.
Yeah, can you check? I think the button should be closer here. Double check it. You have a transaction node and the task, right? So maybe you only did a node. Okay. Yeah. So fix this first. Okay. Okay. So I'm thinking basically what I'm thinking is basically we need that dialogue. So you can first make actually not dialogue, jar. Let's make that jar for empty for now. Then we can talk about the specific of it. So let's first get to that. Each of you, so now you have something to start, right? So let's stop at this point because it's already a lot, right? You have a rough idea what this you should be building, right? Any question? So yeah, so Fang, you have task to do. Joyce, I haven't give you anything right now, only the description, right? Let's do a quick sync once, I mean, you are ready to start, okay?
So I will first create 2 tabs and 3 card in the first tab.
Yeah, you first, I mean, let's do step by step, okay? Let's go through it. So first, your first commit will create a 2 tab. Get rid of this GIF.
Okay.
The first commit, small commit, create a 2 tab, okay? Because now we have another person working in parallel, right? So break down your changes so you don't have conflict, right? Maybe I want her to work on another tab, right? So make each tab a component, okay? A component so you can be separate, okay? Even it's empty, okay? Got it?
Okay.
2 tab. So now we focus on the first tab. So 3 card, a button to create, and click on the button, a big drawer, right? Let's do that. I think it's pretty quick for you. I think we probably need another meeting tomorrow or in the next few days. I mean, probably tomorrow. I think this take no more than 1 day. So let's do a quick sync maybe tomorrow. If you guys don't have time, we can do it on Sunday or something. Okay. We are doing small iteration. Okay. So we can check the code, and we can. So our interval for the meeting is pretty small, but we can do iterative development. So that's quicker, right? So right now for Joyce, right now it's just get the description sentence. So tomorrow, if we have another meeting, you will have specific something to work on, okay? Because because right now we don't have anything, right? Once found, create all this stuff, we can talk about it, right? Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But right now we don't have anything. So that's why I want you to break down to small changes, because then we can do parallel, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. For now, that's it. Any question? If we don't have anything, we can stop for now. And like I said, I expect Fun to finish all this tomorrow before the meeting, probably. Okay. Do you want to settle the meeting time today, or we can think in WeChat about the meeting? I mean, I'm not trying to push Fun to finish before tomorrow. I mean, if I actually want to wait until like Fun finish it and then to schedule a time. That's easier. I mean, right?
We can talk about on WeChat.
Yeah, cool. Okay, let's do that later. We'll schedule a meeting. We target at tomorrow night, but let's see. Okay, that's basically it. Yeah, I mean, right now that's pretty much it. We don't have anything else. Let me see. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, right now the UI is blank, right? We don't have anything. But once tomorrow we have much more to talk about. Right now, today is basically you get a high level what we're trying to build, and we're actually getting closer and much closer, right? I mean, if you compare to like several weeks ago, when we talk about this, we probably nobody know what it is, and we don't have API at that time. Now we have some concrete API in the backend, and they are developing the backend as the API as well, so you can use it, right? Okay, now we have the backend API. Now we can build the front end much better. Okay, well, I mean, now we actually have some model to think about, and yeah, we know what we can do. Okay, one thing actually, Joyce, I will give you a remote task to think about after you finish this description. I want you to spend some to look into how to do that. I want you to take a look how our calendar works. Here, the calendar, how the calendar works. This is the Ernst calendar. So that is after you figure out the description sentence. When you have time, if you don't have time, leave it. This is something in the long run, because we are getting to the place. We will hit the place where we need to build a calendar, and click on it, show the time span. Right? We need to build this. Right? So for the calendar part, we want to use ounce, right, for every month. Right? Only month, not year. We're not doing year. Okay? Even though we have year, but we are not doing year today. Okay? Just month. So hard code to month. So on the design, I have the calendar. Take a look at it, how it works. So you probably will be the expert in here. Okay? I want to know. So this is a little bit specific, okay? So right now the backend assume to send you. So if you look at this is 1 month, right? You have date and doesn't have time zone, okay? One thing you notice, this one you don't know the time zone, right? You don't know it's Pacific time or East time, right? So take a look at here, how to use this or how this is used. Let me know the input. So right now, when we talk to backend, we assuming we send you basically YYYMMDD date. Does it work? I mean, I hope it's not epoch time, okay? Because epoch time sometimes indicates time zone, okay? So, and then for time, I mean, yeah, I mean, we probably want to show something like this. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so I want you to take a look at how the calendar is building. So somewhere I think somewhere down the path you're gonna build a component to I mean to so you guys can work in parallel, right? You can build the calendar and later we can hook it up, right? Yeah, we will talk about that specifically later. I think UI wise, this blank space is really wasted space here. I don't know why they design here like a huge empty blank here. Seems like a waste. Okay, for the space. Anyway, so each of you have something. Okay, now. Okay, yeah. The calendar thing, just take your time. I mean, we are not going to do that immediately, but we definitely will want this sometime. Okay, it's here in the design calendar. Okay, cool. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Any question before we go? Okay, then let's stop for now. I'll upload the video. Okay, cool. Okay, we can sync later in the WeChat group. Okay, cool. Okay, bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.
Mhm.